Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a massive question, one that impacts every single one of us. How on earth are we going to feed a planet that just keeps growing? And the answer, you'll see, isn't just about planting more fields, it's about some seriously smart science. So let's get into the incredible innovations that are literally shaping the future of our food. It really all boils down to a classic problem, right? Supply and demand. We've got more people, which means we need more food. Simple. But here's the thing. We can't just keep paving over the planet with new farms forever. We're starting to hit a wall. And that's where the real challenge and the real ingenuity kicks in. And to really get a sense of the scale here, just think about this. A whopping 70% of the entire world's livestock, we're talking all the cattle, the sheep, the goats, everything, is concentrated in just two countries, India and China. But, and this is a huge but, even with almost 3/4 of all the farm animals, those two countries only contribute about 25% of the world's farm produce. You see that? That's a massive productivity gap. So the takeaway here isn't just about having more animals, it's about getting more from the ones we already have. Okay, so the path forward is pretty clear, isn't it? We've got to get smarter. We have to lean into science and technology to boost not just the quantity, but also the quality of our food. So now let's dive into exactly how scientists are making that happen. Let's start on the animal side of the equation. How can we totally revolutionize the way we raise and breed livestock to close that productivity gap we were just talking about? This all comes down to a practice called animal husbandry. It's basically the science and, the art of caring for and breeding animals for things like milk, eggs, and meat. It is an absolute cornerstone of agriculture. Now, in the breeding world, there are two main approaches. On one side, you have inbreeding. Think of this like perfecting a family recipe. By mating closely related, really superior animals, breeders can kind of concentrate all the best genes, like for higher milk production, and create what they call a pure line. Then you've got outbreeding, which is kind of like creating a fusion dish. You mate totally unrelated animals to combine the best traits from different breeds to create something brand new and hopefully even better. And this isn't just a theory. A fantastic real-world example of outbreeding is the Hisardal sheep. Breeders in Punjab took Bikaneri ewes and crossed them with merino rams, and bam, a whole new breed that had the best qualities of both its parents. But what if you need to hit the fast-forward button? Well, that's where some cool tech called MOT comes in. It stands for Multiple Ovulation Embryo Transfer. Sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. You take your best cow, give her hormones so she produces like 6 to 8 eggs instead of just one. Then, she's artificially inseminated by an elite bull. The fertilized eggs are collected and then transferred to surrogate mothers. The upshot? You can get a whole bunch of genetically superior calves in the time it would normally take to get one. It's a total game changer. All right, so that's the animal side. Now let's switch gears and talk about plants, because the very same ideas about selective breeding have been used for crops, and honestly, the results have been even more dramatic. It sparked a full-blown revolution. Yeah, you really can't talk about modern food without mentioning the Green Revolution. And as this quote makes super clear, that entire world-changing movement was built on one thing: plant breeding, specifically creating new types of crops that gave way higher yields and could fight off common diseases. And the results? They were just absolutely staggering. Just look at India between 1960 and 2000. Wheat production exploded from 11 million tons to 75 million tons. Rice went from 35 million to almost 90 million tons. This wasn't an accident. This was the direct result of scientists breeding and introducing these new semi-dwarf varieties. So how do they actually make a new crop variety? It's a really careful scientific process. First, they collect as much genetic variety as they can find, all the wild relatives of a crop. This genetic library is called germplasm. Then they sort through it all and pick parents with the traits they're looking for. Step 3, they crossbreed them. From all those kids, they pick the absolute best ones and then self-pollinate them over and over to make the new traits stable. And finally, after tons of testing, the new variety gets released to farmers. And a huge part of boosting yield is just not losing the crops you grow to disease. The precision of modern breeding here is amazing. We now have wheat varieties like Himgiri that resist rust, cauliflower that can fight off black rot, and even chili peppers that are immune to certain viruses. It's basically like giving each plant its own custom-built immune system. Okay, so we've got more food, but what about making the food itself better? This is where this really cool field called biofortification comes into play. The whole goal here isn't just to grow more, it's to breed crops that are naturally jam-packed with more of the good stuff our bodies need: vitamins, minerals, protein.
And this isn't science fiction. This is happening with foods you and I eat all the time. Scientists have developed carrots and spinach loaded with extra vitamin A, tomatoes with more vitamin C, and even a special wheat variety called Atlas 66 that has a way higher protein content. This is a super powerful way to fight what's called hidden hunger, those micronutrient deficiencies that affect millions. We've talked a lot about making our farms better for both animals and plants. But what if the next big step for food, especially protein, doesn't come from a farm at all? Okay, for this last section, let's get into the really futuristic stuff. We're going to look at technologies that are pushing way beyond conventional farming and are pretty much redefining what food can even be. First, we got to talk about the elephant in the room. Meat is really inefficient to produce. I mean, it takes anywhere from 3 to 10 kilograms of grain just to make 1 single kilogram of meat. As more people around the world want to eat meat, that equation just doesn't work long term. So what's a possible solution? Well, one incredible idea is something called single-cell protein, or SCP. The idea is to grow huge amounts of microbes, like the blue-green algae spirulina. And what's so brilliant about this is that they can grow on waste materials. We're talking wastewater from factories, straw, even sewage. And they turn that pollution into a food source that's rich in protein, minerals, and vitamins. How cool is that? And if you thought that was wild, check out tissue culture. This is based on this amazing biological power called totipotency. It's the idea that an entire plant could be grown from just a single cell. You take one tiny piece of a plant, put it in a sterile test tube with all the right nutrients, and it can grow into a whole new identical plant. It's just mind-blowing stuff. And the applications are awesome. First, there's micropropagation, where you can churn out thousands of identical plants, or soma clones, really fast. Second, you can rescue diseased plants. Even if a plant is sick with a virus, the very growing tip, the meristem, is often clean. You can culture just that tiny piece and grow a brand new, healthy plant. And you can even do crazy stuff like fuse cells from different species together to create totally new hybrids, like the pomoto, which was a fusion of a potato and a tomato cell. So from smarter breeding to biofortification to literally growing food from single cells in a lab, it's pretty clear that science has handed us this incredibly powerful toolkit. The question isn't really if we can innovate our way to a well-fed future anymore. The real question is, how will we choose to use these amazing tools to build the future of food? That's something for all of us to think about. Thanks for tuning in.